Well, hi there. It's Thursday afternoon, February 13th, 2020, journal number 281, T+316. I'd like to talk to you about something that happened yesterday. Actually, was the reason I failed to post yesterday, mostly because it was a long day. It wasn't long chronologically, not in not having to do with the fact that it was many hours or more hours than normal. It was long with regard to effort and energy, what it took to get through the day. Mostly because it started with an early morning trip to Duarte and City of Hope for a meeting that the Patient Family Advisory Council members had invited to. And it was a meeting on wayfinding. Wayfinding is a polite way of saying not getting lost or finding your way around someplace. And at the City of Hope, it's a meaningful discussion. And I'll tell you why. If you've never been out to the City of Hope, the City of Hope started probably in 1914, I think was the original date, as a center for recovery from tuberculosis. The joke really is that when it started, the reason they chose Duarte was because the air was so clean. Clean air in Los Angeles is an oxymoron. The two things are an example of cognitive dissonance. However, back then, when there were no cars around or very few cars around, it was the case. So you had this land mass, this area that developed into a campus that's more than 120 acres, which is a big slab of property. But you have a physical plant that started with 2 tents and blossomed out to have countless, buildings and destinations, potential destinations, research centers, laboratories, radiology, cardiology. I mean, you have all of these different departments associated with the research hospital, and they've sort of like bubbled up in what would seem a haphazard fashion. And one of the examples of that is something that we've experienced. And we experienced the need to have really careful consideration for finding your way around the campus when we started coming there originally, because getting lost was easy. I mean, I'm embarrassed to tell you that we spent almost 5 years going back and forth to the City of Hope, not even realizing that there was a cafeteria that we could have eaten at, or a place called the Bistro, which is a place where you can get a quick snack within 100 yards of where we spent most of our time before leaving. So that part of it's really, really nuts. And this meeting on wayfinding was interesting in the respect that it involved 2 different consultancies. One consultancy to do the design work necessary to help people find their way around the campus, and the second to ensure that what they had come up with, to ensure that the design was functional. And the second consultancy, has among its client list MD Anderson, Dana-Farber, and a number of other, large hospitals. And to give you an idea of what large hospitals are, the young lady that was representing the company mentioned that MD Anderson has a footprint of 1,900,000 square feet. If you want to get your head around that, that's twice the size of the average good-sized mall. So it's interesting. We were there as members of the Patient Family Advisory Council to help both consultancies establish whether or not what they had done, what they thought was going to work and work well, at least the first stage of that, whether or not it made any sense based upon our experience, recognizing that everybody on the Patient Family Advisory Council is either a patient at the City of Hope, a former patient at the City of Hope, or had been placed in the role of caregiver for someone who was a patient, present or prior patient at the City of Hope. So we all got experience there, and we're all really rather passionate about giving something back to the organization. And it was fascinating because what they did was they color coded different areas of the campus by discipline, perhaps. I don't know. We never really quite got that far. But there's a green zone and a yellow zone, and a red zone, and each one has a different part of the campus. So if you're going to a specific destination, that destination's within a certain zone, you'll know that you just need to follow that color throughout, the campus as it winds its way through. But it had more to do with that. It had to do with signage, and it had to do with a number of other issues. And I was really proud of the contribution that all of my fellow council members made, because all of the comments were worthwhile, and it was fascinating to recognize how much energy, how much thought, how much effort, planning, design work went into creating this plan. And you can't help but think when you're looking at that to a large degree, it would be nice if we had some kind of a wayfinding tool to help us negotiate or navigate life in general, and how much easier it might make it for us if there was such a tool, whether there was signage around that says, you're trying to get from where you are to where you need to be, from struggling to success, from survival to success, follow the green path. Look for the red path. Look for the yellow path. And I think maybe that's something to think about for all of us. While we don't necessarily have the benefit of that kind of guidance, that kind of help, we certainly should be willing to put the energy, put in the work necessary to determine where it is we want to be and how we're going to get there, and what kind of markers we want to go ahead and establish for the trip. So till tomorrow, stay well, take care. That's it for now. I'll try and muddle my way and find my way through tomorrow for the next day, for the next blog post. Bye-bye.